The Commanders' training camp has just undergone a huge turnaround, and the drastic changes happening on the field are going to completely transform our future in 2026. First, our defense has gained an unbelievable boost. Two crucial pillars of our defensive system have finally returned to practice, and they may be exactly the missing piece for our defense to operate at full strength. But hold on to that excitement, because the story only gets better. While the defense is gaining momentum, a dramatic competition that had been keeping the coaching staff awake finally had a clear and definitive winner. The suspense is over in this specialist position, and the decision that was made will directly impact the closer games of the season. But first, leave a like on the video. It's just a click, and it helps me a lot. The Washington Commanders returned to practice on Friday after the Thursday break that brought the news of the signing of wide receiver Stefon Diggs. On Friday, Diggs was on the field, ready to kick off the 2026 season. Trey Amos and Tress Way also returned to practice. Drew Stevens shone in the kicking competition, and the defense managed several interceptions. Friday's session brought significant developments for the team. Diggs' workload was intentionally light as he prepares for the Commanders' new offensive scheme. He participated in 11-on-11 drills, running a short route away from the play. He looks so agile in his movements, quick with his hands, and perhaps even in better physical shape than last season with New England. Diggs took part in individual drills and spent time after practice working with Jaden Daniels. Amos participated in team drills while Armstrong had a heavier workload in individual exercises. Washington plans to reintegrate him gradually after his injury. Way resumed his holder duties on all field goal attempts on Friday, an important step after the pec injury that sidelined him during the first week of training camp. It is indeed ironic that all three players entered the field with injury issues and that all three became available on the same morning. After Friday's practice, Drew Stevens is firmly in the lead after having another perfect performance. His longest kick was 56 yards, while Jake Moody missed his two longest attempts of the day. The competition for the kicker position now has Stevens at 28 out of 30 and Moody at 24 out of 29. With Moody now having 5 misses compared to Stevens' 2, the pressure to respond is something he will feel now. Fabian Moreau intercepted Marcus Mariota's pass intended for Colson Yankoff and returned the ball for a few yards. Fred Davis II also intercepted a pass from Mariota later in practice, giving Washington 2 takeaways from players competing for lower spots on the depth chart. Moreau is trying to turn his familiarity with the system into a roster spot, while Davis needs impactful plays as an undrafted rookie to stand out. Jackery Krosky-Merritt is a player that Washington seems determined to use a lot this year. He continues to be utilized to stretch the edges of the field and is intercepting all passes. Krosky-Merritt appears to be wholeheartedly accepting the challenge posed at the beginning of the preseason. The team has prioritized using Jeremy Reaves with the starting defense over other players competing for the spot alongside Nick Cross. The continuous use of Reaves with the starting team in several practices is a sign that he is a legitimate candidate for starting safety. This is not just a rotation experiment. The flip side of the coin, when a kicker gains ground, is that the other needs to lose it for that to be possible. The fact is that Moody is in a worse situation today than he was at the start. The 2 interceptions suffered by Marcus Mariota really set the stage for the day's failure. One of the interceptions can be attributed to a defender's good read, but 2 in the same practice provide material that needs to be corrected. The day boils down to 3 things: Diggs starting to recover, Washington getting Amos, Armstrong, and Way back, and Stevens finally gaining a significant advantage in the competition for the kicker position. Friday's interceptions were yet another sign of Washington's ongoing emphasis on forcing turnovers. Moody now faces his first real pressure to respond in the competition for the kicker position. Dan Quinn spoke with reporters before Friday's practice and discussed the plans for Stefon Diggs in 2026. This will certainly open up a new world of possibilities for Jaden Daniels and the passing game. The immediate question is how the Commanders plan to utilize Diggs, especially since he can effectively play both inside and outside. Quinn outlined the plan for Diggs in a press conference. He stated that when you see him play as a slot receiver, you realize he has a great game perception. He is a great competitor and someone who can advance the necessary yards. Using Diggs in the slot makes perfect sense, especially considering how effective he was last year. According to professional analyses, Diggs finished the regular season with 40 receptions and 488 yards on 47 passes thrown in the slot. His receptions were the 12th best mark, the yards the 6th best, and his average yards per route run was the 9th best among qualified receivers. Stefon Diggs is the perfect complement to Terry McLaurin, who remains one of the best receivers in the league for deep passes and contested receptions. Diggs will have plenty of space to operate on short routes, while McLaurin and even players like Chigoziem Okonkwo stretch the field. However, this raises the question of how many plays Diggs will take away from promising rookie Antonio Williams. But honestly, considering the big picture, this is a very good situation for Williams. As promising as he is, It is not a good idea for the Commanders to place too much responsibility on him right in his first year. Diggs' arrival will help slow things down for Williams and allow him to feel more comfortable during his rookie year. Williams will definitely have his opportunities to play this year. Quinn made it clear when asked how Williams and other internal receivers fit into the offense. He stated that they will analyze that over the next month. Diggs won't play exclusively in the slot, but this raises the question of how they will utilize the players. The question is whether there will be 2 receivers, 3 receivers, who will play in each game situation. That's why it's good to have them here today and start this process together. It's also about increasing competitiveness in a group that Quinn likes. Diggs is also an efficient outside receiver in specific situations. Williams can also play in that position. There's the question of Diggs' leadership. He has no problem teaching the rookies, and now Williams has 2 very experienced veterans to lean on. While Stefon Diggs will reduce Williams' playing time, it is a positive situation, especially considering that Diggs is in town with a 1-year contract. Honestly, the future is even more promising for Williams with Diggs on the roster. The 2025 season was marked by injuries all over the field for the Commanders. Washington started training camp at a disadvantage, with Armstrong and Trey Amos on the physically unable to perform list. Shortly after the start of training camp, the team suffered another injury, with star punter Tress Way injuring his pectoral. Fortunately, all 3 players have returned to practice and can continue with the full roster. Before being sidelined for the entire season in Week 8, Armstrong was one of the key players on defense. He had recorded 5.5 sacks up to the time of the injury. Responsible for almost 15% of Washington's sacks in 2025, his absence was immediately felt on the defensive line. With only 1 year left on his contract, Armstrong needs to have a strong start to the season if he wants to prove he deserves a few more years in Washington. In his early days back at practice, Armstrong is ahead of schedule. He started with individual drills on the side. Having followed Dan Quinn from Dallas in 2024, Armstrong has 10.5 sacks and 63 total tackles during his time in Washington. An instant morale boost, an experienced veteran on special teams, Tress Way is one of the longest-serving players in Washington. After suffering a minor injury early in training camp, Way returns to punt and hold the ball for both kickers. The competition for the starting job continues, and he will likely have some influence on who secures the starting spot in Week 1. Having earned 3 Pro Bowl selections and All-Pro honors in 2019, Way is a favorite among fans, players, and coaches in the league. As the secondary defense continues to adapt to the new scheme, Trey Amos returns to the group after a fibula fracture that ended his season in Week 10. Starting a career in a division with receivers like CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, and Devonta Smith is no easy task for any rookie defender. Despite not forcing any turnovers, the rookie cornerback had 6 passes defended and 32 total tackles. Upon returning from injury, Amos will be able to learn from Amik Robertson and Rasul Douglas, veterans who were missed in the Commanders' secondary last year. As a fan, I am extremely excited about the return of these 3 players. They can make a real difference for the team during the regular season. So, fan, after discovering how the return of 3 important players can completely transform the future of the Commanders, understanding how the arrival of Stefon Diggs is positively changing Antonio Williams' trajectory, and knowing that the competition for the kicker position finally has a clear winner, which of these situations leaves you feeling more hopeful or concerned? Do you believe Armstrong will be able to regain his previous performance and justify a new contract with the Commanders, or has the injury permanently affected his ability to play at a high level? And more importantly, do you trust that Trey Amos will be able to continue his promising development as a rookie cornerback and become a key piece of the secondary defense? Or will the fibula injury hinder him in the long run? Leave your opinion in the comments. I want to know what you think about the future of the Washington Commanders.